Hello, today we are sitting on the floor in my garage getting ready to replace the sway bar links in my daughter's 2004 Toyota Matrix XR. This is what a sway bar link looks like. It basically connects your suspension to a bar that is also connected to the other side of the vehicle, so that when the vehicle goes around corners and one side of the car tries to lean like this, it causes this bar to twist, which then, if this bar is twisting, it acts like a spring. As it's twisting down on this side, it tries to pull this side down, and if this side is lifting up, it tries to lift this side up. So as a result, it makes the car ride more evenly. It's an important thing because if you're leaning around a curve and you're lifting weight off of this tire, it's not going to be able to grip as solidly. So you definitely want to keep the tires as in as close to even contact to the ground as possible, so you get good traction and safety going around corners. Plus, this is more comfortable when the car's not swaying like a boat or something, especially to those that are prone to getting motion sickness. These are generally pretty easy to replace. There's nothing that special to them. It is a bar with a swivel point on it. When they are new, they are hard to swivel, what they're supposed to be. It just has a nut that screws on a stud piece that mounts to, like either the bar on the bottom or your strut, a little flange on your strut on the top, and then clamps the two together. To take these off can be difficult because this is a suspension component and it's prone to all the wear and tear, road salt, grime, dirt, stuff like that. So when you start trying to loosen this, it's connected to this that can swivel inside this piece here. So turning this does nothing. You've got to be able to hold or counter hold. And if you look at the end of this, shine a light so you can see. If you look at the end of this, it has a recess inside it where you can put a hex bit or one of those L-shaped hex pieces or something to stop this piece from turning when you're trying to take the nut off. These nuts shouldn't be on real tight, but if you've ever worked on a car and seen how corroded stuff can get, you can find that these can be a royal pain to get off. If you're going to get it off, don't worry too much about ruining it if you have the replacement part and you've matched them to make sure they're going to work. If you have to, where this bolts together here, look on the back side, and there's usually a little section right here. If you have to, you can get some vice grips back here and clamp onto this and hold this. Because a lot of the time this is going to be dirty, or you try to put a hex in it, and this is so corroded on, your hex won't hold properly and it'll just rip right out. It's a pain. It doesn't work all that great. So you do what you can. So anywho, let me show you this on the car, and we'll go and see how we could get it off and what that process is. All right, this is that sway bar link on the car. See, it connects to your sway bar on the bottom that then winds its way over to the other side of the vehicle, and to your strut, a flange on your strut up at the top. And you can see this one is busted. The grease is trying to squirt out of the side of the boot. The boot's probably ripped. And I've been hearing as you go down the road, you'll hear as you hit the, quick bumps like that, you'll hear that rattle sound that's indicative of something like this failing. And you can see it's fairly corroded there, so I may end up having to take some vice grips or something and holding on the back to get it off, but we'll get it off. Down on this end, one side faces this way, one side faces the other way, so it's in the opposite direction down on this side. Got the nut back behind there. And as you remove this, I want to take a moment to show you I've got both sides of the vehicle up in the air. Very, 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 very important safety thing to know about here. If you have one side on the ground and one side in the air, that bar that runs from side to side is going to be twisted. And when you take one of those links off, it's going to pop back into position where that it's not twisted. And these bars are very thick and act like an extremely strong spring and can do that with such force that it will snap your hand. Don't be that person, so make sure to jack up both sides so that the car doesn't have any, that bar does not have any twist or pressure on it. Very, very, very important thing to know. Other than that, this shouldn't be that bad of a job. It depends on how corroded that bolt is. So let's get my tools ready and we'll come right back. All right, here we go. I'm going to take my, this is a 17 millimeter right here, so I'm going to take my impact and try to bust that loose a little bit. The size of this inside here, and whether it's a Torx or a Hex or anything like that, can vary wildly depending on manufacturer. So I'm not going to give you any sizes on that. You'll have to figure it out for your car. I don't know if this is an original part or not, or if it's an aftermarket, and every one of them can be totally different. So I know the nuts themselves are usually going to be like a 17 millimeter. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so it is turning, but what does that mean? Did it loosen up? So what I'm going to have to do is take my 17 millimeter wrench here, yep, and it's turning the whole thing, and see what we can do. All right, put this in there, and this little thing that I've got there barely fits. But it does appear to be somewhat working. There we go. It is coming out. Hopefully you guys can see that. This one side. You can give me my thing back now. Okay, that's out. So I got to do the same thing on the bottom piece down there. Got to do the same thing on that. So let's see what we can get done on that one. All right, this one back here is a lot harder to get to. I've got the bar actually across my tie rod and kind of wedged up under the fender here, which helps lift up on the sway bar a little bit because it rests almost right on my control arm here, so there's no room to get anything into that nut to get it off, and it rotates that way from bottom, like if you're on the top it rotates toward the back of the car and you can't get anything back below it, so it's hard to get anything in there. So let's see what we can do to get that off. Getting that off is going to be the hard part, I think, this whole operation. Alright, I did manage to get this off. I had to use my channel locks to grip this piece back behind right here. I couldn't get my big vice grips in there. They were too wide, and I can't find my little ones. My little vice grips always disappear. I swear I've got a vice grip gnome. But a small pair of vice grips was all it would have taken to back hold that and get this out. And on this one I can see it was kind of hidden. This hole down on this end is smaller than this hole down on this end. So what's the point in that? I don't get it. But this did need to be replaced. The boot is broken on this end completely, and you can see the ball inside it. It's a ball and socket joint. And you can see how easily I can wiggle this with my thumb. And this boot had a tear right there. So now all I've got to do is take this part. Let's see if there's a difference in the hole size there. That's a smaller one. And that looks to be the same size. These ends really should be the same. So this just goes back in here like that, and down there like that. Let me take the little nuts off. They don't have to be particularly super tight, just enough to keep them from wobbling, but that goes down there. And this goes up here. Might have to bend these to the right position to fit them in. Yeah, I gotta angle that bolt up a little bit. So if you can't bend it with your fingers, you just take it and see, now it's bent up like that. Now I fit that in there and that in there, and it's just enough. The angle isn't perfect, so I got to adjust the angle a little bit, and then I can get my nuts started and then just tighten them back down. Except one thing, I'm an idiot. Let's try it this way. Yeah, that works. That works a lot better. Yeah, there we go. That's much better when you get it on the right way. Now it's oriented properly, and I can get my nuts on the end of the stud there. So let's get that done. All right, so see if I can get you so you can see this. Once we get it started, I can actually just use this as the hold. And if you take this and adjust it like you're loosening it, it actually would be tightening for this side. And I can just spin the centerpiece instead, and it's a lot easier. At least until I get it cinched down close enough, like it is right there. And then I can use that as my hold and tighten it properly. And that is all we need, just good and snug on there. Not super tight. These don't need to be super tight, just enough so that they won't wiggle loose. So probably no more than about 20 foot-pounds or so. I don't know what the exact spec is, but it doesn't have to be 100 foot-pounds. So now we're going to go down to the bottom one and get the bottom one taken care of. All right, so I wanted to show you this little technique here, if I can get this to work without getting in your way. On the bottom of this control arm here, you can put your socket up through, and if you got the right extension piece, it just fits perfectly on that. And then, if I don't lose my wrench, I can get this up here. And it takes a bit of work. It takes some time and patience because you don't have a lot of room to work here. So you just got to be patient and get your hands to cooperate. Mine are not. It was working better before I turned the camera on for you guys. Now it doesn't want to work. Here we go, check that out. It's slow, you're only moving at about 1/8 of a revolution at a time. But it gets the job done eventually. And I'm almost to that point where it is fully bottomed out. Yep, just about there. I just need to finish tightening it up. we are good to go on that end. So, not too bad, and a little difficult, but be ready to get some vice grips out, and it's not too bad at all. And there you have it. As far as car repair type stuff goes, that's a pretty basic repair. The same principles that you see here, with basically a rod that has a bolt that connects to your suspension on one point and your sway bar on the other point. And you just got to undo those nuts off the bolt piece and swap the old part out for the new part. That's pretty much going to be the same thing for pretty much every car out there that has a sway bar of some sort, or a sway bar link, front or rear. Some rear ones can be a little bit different. The ones on this car are weird. They're kind of built in kind of thing. I'm not going to get into that. They can be easy to get off, or they can be, if you live in areas like I do where you have road salt, they can be a royal pain to get off. But the process is pretty much the same on all these cars. So if you wanted to try a simple do-it-yourself type in your garage repair, this is one of those that's simple to do. If you screw everything up and can't, you get one end off or something like that and can't get the other end off, put the other one back on. Just screw the nut back on. You don't have to cinch it down tight. But it's one of those things you can reverse or get halfway done. And if it doesn't work, you can still drive the car to a repair shop. It's not going to hurt anything. If your sway bar isn't working, that just means your car sways more in the corners. So just don't go racing around the corners while you're heading to the repair shop. But it's one of those that most people can do themselves. Now, I'm not encouraging you to go outside of your comfort zone. I'm not a professional. I'm not a mechanic. I'm just like you guys that are watching the channel. I'm an average at-home, do-it-yourself type person that wants to save a few bucks because I don't have a lot of bucks in the first place. So anyways, hopefully you got something out of this and it helped you in some way. And give it a try. Hopefully you can get it done too, and I'll talk to you guys later.